Good morning. This is Jason D coming live at you again for another Film Fanatic show. It is 10:58, January 27th. So yeah, yesterday was a pretty fun day here at Film Fanatic headquarters. We had probably about 13, 14 inches of snow. It was pretty cool. We had a snow day, of course, or I had a snow day. A lot of people well, nowadays have the option to work at home. I know a few people that obviously didn't go into office to their jobs. They were able to work at home, but I can't stand working at home that way. I have done that before at a necessity, so that's great. You get paid for the day and everything. But anyway, yeah, it was pretty cool. I'm not a winter. I'm not a big fan of winter, and I used to really hate winter. I'm a summertime person, and I really love the summer weather and spring. I love when it's hot. I love the summer. I love the sun. I like when this. To me, it's there's no better feeling than like on a Saturday or a Sunday afternoon during the summer when you're like out doing something or whatever, and it's a beautiful day. And then when it's like 7 o'clock, 7:30, the sun is still out, and the air is still warm and crisp. I love that, and especially if it's like a clear day, it's awesome. But anyway, the winters have gotten. I don't know. In some ways, I've started to enjoy the winters more. Um, I mean, sometimes winter is good anyway because we live in a pretty seasonal place here, so there's like more downtime to like work. If you're doing things that are in the creative realm, like you have more time to do those things, like recording projects. Being a musician and doing this crazy thing that I try to do every day, like being a musician, like creative projects, working on music. I've been writing a lot of music, which has been super fun, and I finished up a recording project this winter, or the kind of right as winter was hitting, and I'm kind of in the midst of working on this new project now that probably won't. We're in rehearsal mode right now, and we probably won't be recording for a while. But so it can be good, for those kinds of projects. Rehearsing, working on material, recording. In the past, I've done a lot of recording during the winter. The last two Quantum albums that we did in the middle of winter, and that was, so it can be really good. And sometimes winters are busier than others as far as gigs or work. This year has been pretty slow. I've had a few gigs sporadically. Um, so you make the best of it. But I do like the snow. I will say I do love the snow. It's very, I don't know, it's just a cool atmosphere. And yesterday we got a lot. So I had like the day off yesterday, and basically on Sunday I was helping a friend out with this kind of big recital thing that they were involved with, and so I was helping them out with that all day. And I got home about, I don't know, 4:35, and then the snow started. As it was in Rockland, and as I was leaving Rockland, it started to snow quite a bit. But by the time I got home, um, it was still snowing, and by about 6 o'clock, at least here in mid coast, it was coming down like crazy, and it snowed right through the night. And I just chilled out, got some Chinese food. I watched three movies. It was super awesome. And then yesterday, I knew I was gonna have the day off from work, so just kind of hung out and chilled out. I started snow blowing my driveway. I got somewhat of an early start. It was hard getting motivated to do anything yesterday, but I blew out my driveway, which didn't take too long, and then I had to do quite a bit of shoveling otherwise, and then I was going to go over to my folks to help them, but I don't know, they're in healthy shape. They're pretty, they don't like asking for help or anything, but I offered to help them, and and then I got a text like an hour or two later. My mom was like, "Oh, we'll get back to you. I think we'll be okay." And then I get a text from my mom saying, "Oh, we're all done. We finished it." So, and then just got some practicing in yesterday. Just kind of took it easy, and did like two or three little rounds of shoveling, and then I had to go to the store, and I was like, well, it'd be nice to get out of the house. It was really beautiful out. The roads looked okay. I shot a video for the channel. I just uploaded that about the little adventure of getting out of my driveway and driving. And yeah, so that was nice. I did that, and then came back, got some more practicing in, and ate some more food, and just kind of chilled out. And it was a nice, relaxing day. But it snowed a lot, like about 13 to 14 inches. But I got a pretty good start on the snow removal. There's still a lot of snow on the ground. It snowed even more last night, a couple more inches. But it's a beautiful day right now. And again, every night I've been watching so many fantastic movies on my newest obsession, and that is the Film Crypt. Such an awesome YouTube channel. So I've been watching a shit ton of movies. I have a couple of movies that I ordered, which I don't usually do, but I did order a couple of movies online. I got this Amazon gift card from Santa Claus, so I ordered a couple of Blu-rays, and they were both movies that I discovered on the Film Crypt page, and I watched that. I think for me it's my favorite rendition or favorite version of Frankenstein ever. It's just amazing, and it's a 1973 British TV movie. It's called Frankenstein: The True Story, and it's absolutely amazing. I was blown away by it, and I ordered that on Blu-ray. So that should be coming probably any day. I'm really excited to watch it. And so, and then another movie that I discovered on the Film Crypt, which I was totally blown away by. Every movie has just been spectacular. This movie, in particular, I think is probably the most crazed movie I've seen, the most gonzo crazy, and it's also one of the funniest movies. And that is 1980 or 1979, Microwave Massacre. Yes, it's called Microwave Massacre. It's one of those movies you have to see to believe. So I ordered that on Blu-ray. Super, super stoked. So that should be coming any day. I still don't have. I had some problems with my connecting my speakers to my TV. So right now I have a Blu-ray player that works and a TV that works, but I have to get another cord, an adapter cord for my sound system. So I don't have a sound system. I just have the speaker from the TV, which sucks, but it's okay. And so I'm gonna get that set up. But I've been watching so many movies, so I'm very excited about both of those movies coming in the mail. I will definitely do a couple of shows on those experiences. And today's show is on another movie that I saw. I think it was last week or the week before. It's been about week, 2 weeks now that I discovered this channel, and just awesome. And the quality of these videos, the quality of these uploads on this page is just spectacular. I'm not a fan of watching stuff online, and don't get me wrong, like I'm not gonna, not that I'm, people can do what they want to do, but I'm not gonna start like streaming regularly per se. Like I'm not gonna get, like I love YouTube. YouTube's great, and I use it all the time. I watch tons of music shows on there, and it's like anything quality wise you have to sift through, like especially when it comes to music stuff. I have found some like amazingly fantastic quality concerts of bands that I love on there, and then discovered a lot of great YouTube pages. So when it comes to social media, that's mainly what I try to use. I try to stay away from the fucking cesspool that Facebook is, and Instagram is okay. I only use Facebook. I try to only use it for music stuff, promotion stuff, and the, I have to say it's the only way, or at least the only way that I find out about cool events that are coming up. So but I try to stay away from it because it's pretty ugly. It's pretty awful. It's like every time I log into it or I'm on it, I'm like it's like fucking watching a fucking traffic accident, and it's awful. Um, but anyway, I I use it for I yesterday since I had a snow day, I had a lot of extra time. I decided to do some uh, promotion for some shows coming up, so I did that. So I use it for that. I try to just use it for that. And anyway, I watched this movie about uh, it was not this week, it was last week, and again another movie that I had never heard of before. I had never seen before, and I really really love this movie. I kind of consider this movie when I looked it up because I didn't know anything about this movie. It's I guess classified or put in a slightly different genre than I would call it, and that is He Knows You're Alone from 1980. I kind of consider this movie a slasher movie. It's kind of looked at as like a serial killer kind of horror film, which it definitely is. But I kind of consider it a slasher film. But really, really, really awesome. This is one of those movies too. Again, the quality of this movie, the audio, the video is really clear, and I'm like, this is crazy. Probably I'd say it's at like a high end DVD quality. Really, really surprising. That's been the case with all these movies. As I've been watching these movies, I've been making lists. So because there's a lot of films, and I've been watching a new film pretty much. There's only one day this week that I missed that I uh, one night this week that I did not watch a new movie because I started a little too late and I was like I'm getting a little too tired. I came home and I was kind of tired, and it's been amazing. And so I've been making these like scribbled lists of the movies that I have that I've been watching and that I want to talk about. Every movie I've seen on this channel has been just spectacular. Contagion, Mario. The first one I watched was Mario Bava's Bay of Blood, and in today's show, He Knows Your Name, Vampire Hookers, which was totally fucking crazy, Microwave Massacre. I mean, the list goes on and on. And I have another list of movies that I made that I have not gotten to because I'm still cranking them out too. So super fun. I mean, just awesome. Um, but he knows you're alone is a very cool movie, very very suspenseful, and I definitely consider it a slasher movie. Um, Really great cast. It's essentially about this woman who was stalked by a serial killer who only murders brides and the people around them. She gets some unexpected help from her ex boyfriend. Her ex boyfriend comes back into her life, and she is on the verge of getting married, and this mysterious serial killer is stalking her. Through wherever she's going and whatever she's doing, and basically picks off everyone in her life and tries to kill her. The thing that was surprising or kind of funny was I really feel, even though I definitely think that this movie is definitely its own thing. There's a couple of things, particularly around the music. The music's really great, but a couple of things really stood out when I first watched this movie. He Knows You're Alone. Is how much I feel like this movie was so influenced by Halloween. John Carpenter's, and of course, this came out a year after Halloween, so it makes sense that that was a huge influence. I mean, when you look at, I mean, Halloween, John Carpenter's Halloween is, obviously one of the most well known, one of the most iconic horror films, one of the most iconic slasher films ever made, and one of the most important slasher films ever made. And you've always seen interviews. I've always seen interviews and always have heard about anyway. But Sean Cunningham, who created the Friday the 13th series franchise, was really, 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 really influenced and motivated to make a slasher movie after seeing and hearing about Halloween. Even though I think when you get right down to it, um, it's when I've always heard those comparisons, and again, that's something that Sean Cunningham has always talked about openly. I I obviously do see an influence from of Halloween, but I don't know. Like I almost there's been times where I've seen Halloween, and I see over the year. Well, I should say over the years, I've especially seen the influences that film has taken from other movies like Black Christmas and things like that. And I see that, but I think what Carpenter did was, very unique, very different, and created his own thing. And it's sometimes I think people out there who are into slasher movies and horror films don't not that they not and again, don't take this the wrong way, not that they overly hype Halloween, or not that they um, don't give it the accolades it deserves, but I see a lot of the time on YouTube where or reviewers, they talk about horror films, and in particular slasher films. It seems like not enough people realize that, well, slashers were coming out before Halloween. Halloween. Sometimes I feel like people portray Halloween or put Halloween on this mantle, more or less saying that this was what created the genre, and it propelled it without a doubt, and one of the most influential, one of the most iconic films in the genre, my favorite genre, the slasher genre. But I don't think there's plenty of movies that came before that were doing it. And going back in the 70s, with the Giallo films, they very much had big time elements of slasher films. So you can trace it back even further, like films by Sergio Martino and things like that. So sometimes I think people have this angle of that's where the slasher genre kind of started, um, was with Halloween. And I'm like, well, it's important, and one of the most important movies, and it's one of my favorites. I watch it every year for Halloween. But it's not quite true. So, but anyway, I don't, if, and also, I honestly think too, like, if I never heard that, like, I've seen lots of interviews with Sean Cunningham over the years. Of course, the director of Friday the 13th, and created the whole franchise. If I hadn't seen interviews with him where he always talked about that, with Halloween being such an influence on the movie, I honestly, if I never heard of that, or I don't know if I would pick that up so much when I watch Friday the 13th, especially the first one. I don't know. It's interesting. Obviously that is a full on slasher movie, and Friday the 13th, the franchise, is my all time favorite franchise, my all-time favorite slasher franchise, and my all-time favorite horror films franchise, and really my, just in general, my whole, even outside of the genre of horror, it's my favorite franchise. But I don't know. I don't really see it that much, which I think is cool because Friday the 13th was the very first slasher movie I ever saw as a kid, and I'm like, whoa, what is that? And I remember it being so, it just imprinted on me big time of like, wow, like this is really creepy. It's suspenseful. Wow, there's like gratuitous sex and violence all in this one movie, and these teenagers are getting picked off one by one in this really creepy, setting at this lake, and it had great atmosphere, and it scared me. I remember seeing, it really scared me when I first saw it, and then I saw Halloween. Maybe the first time I saw Halloween was probably like a couple of years later. So, but even now watching that, knowing that what Sean Cunningham has always said and attributed to that movie being such a major, or really the sole influence in some ways, I don't really see it. It has a very different thing to it. But obviously, major, major influence. But with this movie, He Knows You're Alone, there are certain scenes in this movie that I feel were directly lifted from John Carpenter's Halloween, like big time, more so than say Friday the 13th. Particularly, which is like so overt, it's a little bit like, oh my god, I can't believe they're doing that. But ultimately, I think this movie is super awesome. I ain't never heard of this movie before, but you really hear it in the music, in the music for he know he knows you're alone. You know, it rips off so much of John Carpenter's score for Halloween. It's kind of hilarious, and there's a lot of scenes, particularly of where the killer is stalking and going after people, where it looks exactly like a scene from Halloween, like where Dean Cundon, my favorite cinematographer, who did all the cinematography for all of John Carpenter's films, and there's all those iconic shots and scenes in Halloween with the Shape, Michael Myers. There's so much taken, like not just influence, but I feel like they ripped it off completely. But ultimately, this movie, and it's an exploitation movie. It's an exploitation horror slasher movie. But ultimately, it goes into very different territory. It's totally got its own fresh kind of feel. I really love this movie, and the thing that's really cool about this movie is it's very very suspenseful. And there's a few kind of action pieces or set scenes, or where there are these like chase scenes between the killer and some of the characters that are really good, like really really good, and they feel like they're all like really long shots, and they're very very suspenseful. They go on for a long time, and this film really gets uh, revved up. Like the engine gets turned up more and more, and this movie has a lot of suspense to it, and it just gets better and better. And at first, the kills are like, there's not a lot of gore in the first act or two of this movie, but it gets increasingly more gory and more violent as the movie goes. I mean, when you think of Halloween too, uh, Halloween is not very gory at all. Like barely. It's more. I think Halloween, its biggest its biggest thing around why I think that film is so good is it's the atmosphere. I think it's just the atmosphere is just so fantastic. Going back to this movie, He Knows You're Alone. There are I'm a big fan sometimes when a film has these like long takes of where things are like it's like a continuous shot. And I mean, probably the best movie that I saw last year, well, the best movie, my top film of last year, one battle after another that has a bunch of scenes like that where it is, where there are all of these sequences where it's just like continuous and it goes on for like 10 or 15 minutes and it's just breathtaking. One of the first directors who kind of really uh, did that or used those kinds of techniques was Orson Welles. There's the infamous scene in Touch of Evil with Charlton Heston, where there's this long panning scene that is just absolutely stunning. And this film, again, even though this movie is like a uber low budget slasher exploitation movie, has that kind of feel, like where you have these soon to be victims are being chased by the serial killer, the slasher, and it is very suspenseful and really entertaining, and it goes on for quite a while. And there's a level of, where I could say that I would say that this movie is definitely has a thriller aspect to it. It's a really good story. The great cast. And again, I am not a person to talk about spoilers because I definitely recommend this movie to anybody out there checking who wants to check this movie out. Definitely recommend it. And but I don't believe in giving away spoilers at all. I hate that. So I try to be careful because that's tricky. It's super tricky. It's super tricky. I think when a person is talking about a movie, I think generally, like for me, I try not to watch reviews of films. Occasionally I do, but even that, I mean, there's a lot of YouTube people that, well, obviously they review films all the time. A lot of people do. A big trend now is like the out of the theater reaction thing where somebody will record a video of them coming out of, they'll record a video of themselves as they've gotten out of the theater and record their reactions. For me, I don't really like to do that because I like to give myself a good 24 hours to kind of like process the experience because it can be very different the next day when you wake up and you've had it like kind of sit and you sat with it for a while. But that's a big thing. And then a lot of people do obviously just a review of a film. And then another big thing is that same guy or girl will also do a spoiler. They'll do like a spoiler free, review, and then they do a spoiler review. But I find even watching a review for a film that is, you know, sup- supposedly spoiler free gives away too much. So I will watch sometimes. I will watch those videos, but I will watch it like with a lot of trepidation, and I'll be really careful. Once they start getting into like, if I get a vibe that they're saying, well, this movie is pretty good or really good or it's not so great or blah blah blah. Usually that's what I go for. But if they start going into, plot reveals and story stuff, that's usually when I exit stage left. But generally, after I see a movie in the theater, typically what I do, especially if it's a movie I've been wanting to see, I will, I'll go to the movie and see it, go to the movies and see it, and then depending on what time it is, which usually it's not that late, but I'll watch. That's usually when that night I will usually watch reviews of the film, like full reviews and spoiler reviews, because I'm like, okay, I want to like think about what other people think about the movie and their process around it, and it does help. It does help me a little bit trying to like maybe figure out a better way or a way to kind of articulate, for when I do these shows. But this movie has a great cast. Really, really cool. Again, a movie I had never heard about before. And it's funny, every movie I've been watching lately has been from like 1978 to about 1980 to 81, 82, which is my favorite decade, especially in the slasher, the slasher realm. The other thing that was really surprising about this movie, this is one of the earliest roles by Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks plays a supporting role in this film. I don't remember him being in the movie very, very long, but he's great. He plays like a high school kid, and he's kind of this like obnoxious high school teenager. But he's great in it, and I was like, no way, because he doesn't. I don't remember him getting like top billing in this movie because he's really young in this film, and it was great. It was a nice surprise. Also, Caitlin O'Haney is the star of this film, I believe. Really great cast. Tom uh, Tom Rothling plays the killer in this movie, and he's awesome. He's a silent killer. There is like again another thing that is very similar to the Shape or aka Michael Myers from Halloween. There's he has zero dialogue. He's just presence, but he's really great. He's super intimidating and pretty scary. Don Scardino is also in this. Elizabeth Kemp, Paul Gleason. Really great cast. Like I said, James Redbourne, who is a character actor who I've seen in a billion movies over the years. You would definitely know him if you see him. Patsy Peace, Lewis Art, Dana Barron, Joseph Lannon, and the great Steve James is in this, which was a nice surprise. Steve James was such a great actor. He was in a lot of great canon, like ninja movies back in the day. Um, so great. He was in American Ninja, those films, and so great, so great. Such an iconic actor, such a great action star. Um, and it was directed by Armand Mastrioni, who again I have no idea who that is, but I definitely want to check that out and do some more deep diving or investigation because very very cool. Armand Mastrioni, I guess apparently he directed a bunch of feature films and TV shows and movies of the week, TV pilots, episodic series since 1979. And this film that I'm talking about today, He Knows You're Alone, was his first film. Wow. It was actually released by MGM in 1980, which is crazy. It's like a major studio, so they bought the rights to this really low budget slasher movie. Um, Other features that he directed were The Clairvoyant in '82. He developed that with William Friedkin. Wow, that's crazy. Of course, The Exorcist and French Connection. The Supernaturals in '86. Distortions in '87. Cameron's Closet '88. Double Revenge in '88. None of these films I've seen. Uh, he also directed. Wow. Okay. Dark. He also directed some of the show's television series for Dark Shadows. 91. Crazy. Against the Law in 1990. War of the Worlds in '88. I'm not sure what that adaptation was. Nightmare Cafe. Worked with Wes Craven. So yeah, pretty wild. Yeah, really, really cool. He worked on the television series The Dead Zone. the Stephen King. But yeah, I really really love this movie. And again, this was just another movie that I saw of seeing so many movies as of late on the Film Crypt of all of these movies that I had never seen before or had even heard about. Just spectacular. Slasher movies are the thing. I mean, I'll check out. I'll really watch anything, but when I hear about a new slasher movie that I've never heard about, I will automatically drop everything and go see it or watch it. I watched another slasher movie last night that I never heard about, Humongous, and again from I think it was from '81, another really old, low budget film. Never even heard of it, and I just watched that last night. Really, really cool movie. So I'll be talking about that eventually, but pretty amazing. I love it. So definitely check this movie out. He knows you're alone. Very suspenseful, great atmosphere, big time, big time influence from John Carpenter's Halloween. Kind of a ripoff of it at times, but yet this movie I feel is its own thing, and really really suspenseful. Really great chase scenes in this film. Great suspense. The kills get more brutal and more disturbing as it goes, but really awesome movie. Really really cool. Great cast. Really good acting. Great writing. Great direction. So yeah, very very cool. Another awesome discovery. So thanks again, and we'll see you next time. Peace.